Welcome. Thank you for being here. In my recent videos, we have been covering a variety of topics, including enlightenment, seeking, wisdom, spiritual realizations, and several others. See, last week I concluded the talk by saying that questioning the teachings of any religion, seeking into the mysteries in the scriptures, is not wrong. See, that forms the basis of seeking. See, questioning is not a satanic influence or against the Holy Spirit, even if we are questioning the faith we have. See, questions are the gateways to all knowing and the wisdom of God. It is when the Holy Spirit teaches us everything. Scriptures are riddled with inconsistencies and mysteries that don't make sense. Even the teachings, the interpreted teachings of the scriptures are riddled with inconsistencies and all sorts of things. So you must start to question. Questioning them is not disbelief or lack of faith. It is in fact a special invitation by God, a special invitation by the Holy Spirit to enter into His mysteries. See, remember the last sentence in the Gospel of St. John. If everything to be written down about what Jesus did, the world cannot contain the number of books that could be written. Read the last sentence in St. John's Gospel. So there is infinite amount of knowledge about Jesus is still out there. And we need to seek them as spiritual seekers. And that is not lack of faith. We need to start asking the Holy Spirit questions and wait for the one who knows everything. That is not lack of faith. Unless the will of God is present, seeking becomes impossible. Remember the word in the scriptures. You cannot go to the Father by yourself unless the will of Jesus is present. That's the message in the gospel. And last week we said, raise your questions, then go into contemplation and meditation. Seek divine emotions such as joy, peace, and love. Don't seek answers. And if you are meant to get answers, God will somehow give you the answers. The answers will find us. This week we are going deeper into our questions. We are going to talk about what are we seeking, why are we seeking, and how do we seek. In other words, what are we questioning? What are we seeking? And how do we question? Okay? Brothers and sisters, what we seek is the truth. Because Jesus says, but the hour is coming and is now here when the true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and truth. For the Father seeks such as these to worship Him. Therefore, seeking the truth is deeply relevant to spiritual seeking. See, this passage of Jesus, just what we read, it is in chapter 4 of St. John's Gospel, and it is about Jesus. It is when Jesus met with the Samaritan woman. And this passage comes from Jesus in his conversation with the Samaritan woman. Before he said this passage, listen to what he says. And I think it's John 4:22. He says, "Woman, believe me, the hour is coming when you will worship the Father neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem. You worship what you do not know. We worship what we know." In other words, Jesus disregards the relevance to temples, churches, and organized religions, but he requires a spiritual living and a spiritual seeking. See, he stresses seeking the truth is deeply relevant to spiritual seeking. See, we worship what we know. That was in those words, John 4:22. Then in the next sentence he relates, "Know the truth." My question is truth coming from knowledge or knowing as in the wisdom of God? See, last week I said, be careful about seeking knowledge. If our questions are about seeking intellectual answers, that is not seeking, I said. It does not lead to the wisdom of God. It further produces conflicts in our minds. It enables atheists and agnostics, I said last week. So this week, let's talk about seeking the truth by way of questions. Brothers and sisters, truth is not an answer to questions. Answers always fall apart to one question. And that question is, could there be more to this? See, during Trump presidency, something that's very interesting happened. Kellyanne Conway participated in an interview with Chuck Todd, and that interview, she said, alternative facts. And the Democratic media had a field day with that. See, what the Democrats did not understand or failed to understand, that alternative facts always remain when we look for truth by way of answer to questions. Alternative facts are not falsehood. I'll get into it, in this discussion today. What it is what we have is not thought through enough or deep enough. That is what Kellyanne Conway was hinting at, but she could not hold the fort in the midst of, all the ridicules and all the laughter. Brothers and sisters, when we are seeking the truth by way of answers to questions, truth always remain evasive. See, let's talk about this. The knowledge of duality, that's what the Eastern religions say. And in the Western religions, it says the knowledge of good and evil, good and bad. And that actually is the knowledge of duality. When we form our intelligence or our knowledge based on the process of elimination, in other words, when we are looking deep into a subject matter and eliminate the bad from the good as we process, we are only looking at half the question, because the other side always remain and we conveniently set them aside. See, we have a brilliant legal system. The brilliance of this, that it allows for us to dig deep into the other side of the truth that appears not as truthful. That is why we have the prosecution and defense within the legal system. See, but how does it work? The prosecutors investigate and dig into a case, and when they say, we found the truth, and then they reformulate everything. They make the case by way of their polarity-based restructure of the truth, by conveniently eliminating the elements that are not as truthful. All right? So, when we are in a court, when we are in a court system and things like that, see, the defense does not have to do their investigation. All they have to do is poke holes on their theory of truth. That's all they need to do. See, if they create enough imbalance in the theory the prosecution built up, they have successfully established their case. That does not require any digging into. See, that is why if you go to a prison and if you talk to the inmates, almost all of them would say that, they were not judged properly. When you talk to the people who actually committed the crimes but still walking free out in our societies, ask them. They would say they had a brilliant defense who made the case for their innocence. Is that what happened? Are they innocent? All it takes is a brilliant lawyer who can make doubts in the case that prosecution built based on pointing to what they eliminated in the process of building a duality-based case based on truth and false. That's all that happened. Okay, let's look at science. Let's look at quantum physics. Okay, what are we doing? We are searching for the next tiniest particle. But quantum physics already knows that every particle is encapsulated with an energy, with a, which they call wave. But that wave, they admit, is an intelligent wave. In other words, every particle is encapsulated with conscious energy. Is the research doing anything about their conscious energy? No. It is all about the particles. See, researching according to a predefined system has its weakness. It is a process of elimination of the one side of duality. See, but the other side does not disappear or go away. It remains and keep challenging the system the research creates. That is why we need to install systems to manage exceptions. Even in exception management systems, let it be very efficient. The other side of duality continues to remain. Therefore, there is no end to conflicts and chaos and disagreements and failures in human defined and installed systems. That is what we encountered with our democratic system during the presidency of Donald Trump. But the other side of the aisle did not see it that way. The other side of the aisle saw that as an exception and tried to handle the exception. That's all they did. But it is a reality in every human-built system. See, the duality-based exploration, if we look into it, questions are only the beginning of a journey. Answers are always elusive because the answers are coming from human intelligence. And the answers fall apart to questions such as, is that it? What if? What else? Is there more to it? Have we done enough to analyze what we rejected in the process of elimination? See, the problem is not with what we chose in the process of elimination. The problem is in what we rejected in the process of elimination. That's where human intelligence, human research, human knowledge fall apart. The truth that we seek is not in the answer. See, the spiritual truth, or even for our own living, even in our life, truth is where the questions itself come to an end. At this end, the duality emerges as oneness of being. In this, what we realize is not knowledge, but knowing of the infinite wisdom. In this wisdom, brothers and sisters, limitation stretches to infinity, infinite possibilities. In wisdom, knowledge dissolves. There is nothing to question and seek answers in wisdom. In wisdom, the only reality is the love, eternal love, divine love. That's all that exists in wisdom. Knowledge or knowing is a side effect of it. Therefore, seek to experience the love of God. In this seeking, we are starting out with questions, of course, but be joyful when you feel that this is not the answer you are looking for, or when you feel the answer is not good enough. We always get answers. Theologians will give us answers. We think scriptures will have answers. And, we think somebody out there is going to come and give us the answer. But brothers and sisters, no matter what answers we get, observe one thing, that deep inside we know this is not the answer we are looking for. See, at least, brothers and sisters, you have the awareness of what the answer ought to be. See, when it comes to a reductionistic, or when the answers are in the form of reductionism and duality, certainly half the answer is not there. That is what lending itself to further seeking. So continue with your questions, continue with your seeking. When it comes to answers, brothers and sisters, no humanistic intelligence has the answers you have looking for. No one can enlighten you, for the enlightenment is already within you. You are enlightened. You are endowed with wisdom. You have what it takes to realize the love of God in your life, in this lifetime. What you are seeking is within you. As it is, the answers you seek is also within you. Therefore, develop a strong relationship with the spirit that is within, or the consciousness that you are. Don't look for answers. Look for a reason to feel the joy of gratefulness. Answers don't lend themselves to spiritual enlightenment. It is the joy of gratefulness. That is the only way. It is the gateway to infinite wisdom. So what we need to do is search for something within us that makes us happy. Seek something that gives us joy. But instead of feeling that joy is coming out of our own seeking, but the grace of God, then the process of seeking and enlightenment begins to take effect. So in our life, don't stop questioning. Seek the joy for feeling grateful. Whether it is something spiritual, whether it is in our relationships, whether it is in our evening walks. It really doesn't matter, even if it is the food we eat. Feel grateful to God for providing these things and truly experience that gratefulness that results in joy. Keep seeking that. And when we seek this, the whole universe is out there to serve us. And the universe will serve everything we want. That is spiritual enlightenment. And every one of us is created to experience that enlightenment. Thank you so much for listening. God bless you.